I'd be pleased to answer the question. I want to make very clear that what we're not talking about is a matter of gun policy in either country. What we're talking about is something about which there is unanimity in view, which is that it is illegal to traffic firearms against the law across an international border and arm traffickers and smugglers so that they can exploit vulnerable people and harm innocent people in another country. So there is unanimity of view in that. We have taken a number of measures, both independently and in partnership with one another, to address the trafficking in firearms across the border. I cited some of the examples, some of the data that reflect the success that we have had. The gravity, the seriousness of the problem is quite significant. And this is exactly the reason why we get together in a U.S.-Mexico high-level security dialogue to assess the strategies that we have employed, to understand their successes, and to see what the gap is between where we are and where we need to be. And as Secretary Ebrard noted, we have agreed to create a task force to develop new strategies, to look at our interdiction protocols, to look at the investigation and prosecution of cases, and to assess and determine what more we can do to counter this problem. So that's exactly why we have this type of dialogue. We remain committed to overcoming the challenge, and we will be unrelenting in our attack of it.
Edward Ribas from EFE.
Thank you. For Secretary Mayorkas, regarding the arrangement on Venezuelan migrants, and why did you set the gap in 24,000 visas if just in September 33,000 migrants from Venezuela crossed the border? And para el canciller Marcelo Ebrard.
For Marcelo Ebrard, what would Mexico suggest in order to receive Venezuelans who are sent back by the U.S.?
Is the Biden administration considering Haiti's request for troops, and how serious is this deliberation? Thank you.
So if I may jump in first and take a step back, because we have to understand the phenomenon of irregular migration, which is not specific to the U.S.-Mexico border, but is a challenge for the entire hemisphere. And as Secretary Blinken mentioned in our dialogue this morning, is a phenomenon across the world. The number of displaced people is at an all-time high. We have seen, of course, Venezuela, a population of approximately 28 million people. Venezuela has seen the exodus of almost 8 million people, a little less than a third of its entire population. Colombia has 2.4 million Venezuelans resident within its borders. Migration, irregular migration, is a phenomenon across our hemisphere. Costa Rica, now, more than 2% of its population is Nicaraguan. So this is a phenomenon that is really gripping the region, and why our multilateral efforts are so critical. Our program is based on a core principle of the Biden administration, which is when individuals are so desperate to leave the country that is their home, they are placing their life savings and their lives in the hands of smugglers who exploit them for profit. It is our responsibility to build safe, lawful, and humane pathways that create opportunities for them so they do not need to avail themselves of the more desperate and dangerous measures that the perilous journey involve. And so the foundation of what we announced yesterday is to reduce the amount of irregular migration so that people can avail themselves of the lawful pathway. And the number that we announced yesterday is based on that core foundation, that people will not take that dangerous journey only to fail, to not succeed in reaching their ultimate destination, but rather will take the humane, safe, and orderly pathway to a better life.